Katie, written submissions 12-2 or 12-3?
2.
Well, what is the next meeting, Ken?
12-2.
Oh, so yeah, then it would be 12-3.
Okay.
Maybe
Okay.
yes.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Susan.
You can start.
Okay, welcome to the November 18th, 2021 meeting of the Town of Southampton Zoning Board of Appeals. The meeting is being held via video conference pursuant to Chapter 417 of the laws of 2021, and until further notice, all of the board's meetings will be held remotely. So we ask the public to continually check the town's website for updates and new information. There are also options on the website for public comments and to pre-register to speak in a public hearing. So please consider all of those for future meetings. If you wish to view tonight's meeting live only, please do not join the Zoom meeting and instead go to the town's website. If the live stream cannot be seen on the town portal, please go to the YouTube website and select the CTV option. If you wish to be heard during tonight's meeting but did not pre-register, go to the town's web portal, choose the meeting group from the drop-down on your left, and you will find information required to join the Zoom meeting. With that, I'd like to ask you to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic stands
Which is
one nation under
under
God,
God, indivisible,
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As a reminder, the applicants, agents, and members of the public speaking other than attorneys will be sworn in. They'll state their address for the record and will offer testimony as it relates to the application before the board. Board members who must recuse themselves from any application will state so on the record and be removed from the meeting until the end of the meeting. Unless otherwise stated at the end of each hearing, all of these applications will remain open for written comments for all purposes until December 3rd, 2021. Those comments can be addressed to the board secretary, Candace, and sent via email, mail, or dropped off at town hall. With that, we'll go to tonight's agenda for adjournments. Mr. Tuttle.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. We also have to do the minutes.
Oh, we could do the minutes. So is there a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Tuttle,
Aye.
Ms. Haberman,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
chair votes aye.
Okay, so as far as the agenda is concerned, we go to number 9, which is Dilip Patel and Shabby Crown, the billion. I'm going to move to adjourn that to our December 2nd meeting.
Second.
Mr. Tuttle,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Ms. Haberman,
Aye.
chair votes aye. Thank you.
Item 10 on the agenda, PJT Realty Management LLC. I'm going to move to adjourn that to our 12/16/21 meeting.
Second.
Mr. Tuttle,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Ms. Haberman,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
chair votes aye.
On the decision calendar, KTB Flying Point Revocable Trust has been withdrawn. And then Frederick and Ann Skopinich. I'll move that. That's going to be for our December 2nd meeting, 21.
Second.
Mr. Tuttle,
Aye.
Ms. Haberman,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
chair votes aye.
All right, Raymond and Julie Lofsted. I'm going to move that we reopen it to accept written submissions.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now I'll move to close it for determination later this evening.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we flip the page. And Richard Doyle, I'll move to reopen Richard Doyle to accept written submissions.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Reopen.
Now I'll move to close it for determination later this evening.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Closed for
then-
decision.
Listen, the following decisions are gonna all be put off to our December 2nd meeting. John and Victoria Petrillo, Edward Burke Jr. and Patricia Burke, LPD 4 LLC, Nicelex Real Estate Holdings Development Corp., and Scott Schlachter. So I'm all to our 12/2/21 meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that takes care of that. We're gonna move back to the beginning of the agenda. Item 1 on the agenda is 81 Roseway LLC. 81 Roseway in Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-134-2-14.8. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code. 1, 330-77D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in residence districts for a proposed rear yard coverage of 22.39%, where a maximum of 20% is permitted. And 2, 330-11, residence districts table of dimensional regulations for an accessory rear yard setback of 21.7 feet, where 30 feet is required, and an accessory side yard setback of 20.5 feet, where 30 feet is required, for a proposed sunken tennis court on a non-conforming lot and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction. We're looking for Brian Lacazio.
Yeah, I don't see him, but I did let in Suffolk Environmental. Is that him?
Yeah, no,
No.
it's Brian. We may have to second call this because I think he
Yeah.
had another board meeting. So if you
Okay,
don't see him, we'll
he's
move
not
on.
there. He's not.
Okay.
there.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second call, we'll move on. How's that?
Second call
Item-
then. Yep.
Item 2 on the agenda is Vincent and Mario Bruno, 12 Gerald Lane. In Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-294-1-32. Applicant requests relief from Town Code 330-11, Residence District Table of Dimensional Regulations for a principal front yard setback of 18 feet, where 40 feet is required, for a proposed enclosed porch addition to the existing dwelling and a non-conforming lot, and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Is there anybody here for the application?
Yes, they're here. They're on.
Are they in?
The Brunos are on. You can speak. You have.
Sorry. Yes, we're on.
Okay. Let's see some loose check in the chat room. Are either of you attorneys?
No, but our architect is actually waiting, I think, in the chat as well.
I'm coming now.
Okay, great. If you guys are going to speak, let me swear you in first. Raise your right hand, state your name and address, please.
Maria Bruno,
Vincent Bruno.
12 Gerald Lane, Hampton Bays, New York.
You swear to tell us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much. And your architect, what is his name?
Paul,
Paul Clinton.
Okay, is he in here? I don't see
he's
him.
coming now.
Yeah, he just asked permission.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, hi, Paul. Just to swear you in, can you raise your right hand and give me your name and address, please?
Paul Clinton, 27 Sherwood Road, Hampton Bays, New York.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you. Please tell us why you're here.
Okay, so I'm speaking on behalf of 12 Gerald Lane. We're requesting relief from the front yard, 18 feet revised front yard where 40 is required. We believe that this project in its inception, before we even decided to do any renovations to it, needed a variance just to build the original house. The lot is extremely, extremely small. Anything that is done in the front would require a variance. The clients have retained me to design a renovation / addition. And part of that exercise during that was to assist them with a problem that they have with their existing raised ranch house. If anyone's been, drove by the house, they could see it's a pretty flat front, stairs that go up, and it's a typical raised ranch that you see in every house. You open up the door, there's no room to go either up or down. If anytime the Brunos have to greet me when I come over, they have to hide behind the door and hope that I can get in, and then close the door behind. I have to close the door behind me. So it really is not conducive. If they're going through the efforts of renovating their house to make it what they want to stay in the community and want to stay in their house. And this little tiny addition that we're requiring, even though it's piercing the front yard, really makes a big impact on how they live on a day-to-day basis. So that's why we're here today, is to go in front of the zoning board to request relief for that addition in the front.
And Paul, just to clarify, the existing house is how far from the front yard lot line? So that's going to be helpful.
All right, so the existing house, and if I could, I'll share my screen if you don't
That would be
mind.
great.
You may.
And Paul, we know the answer to that, but just for the public watching and for part of our
Sure.
record.
Sure. So here's the survey right here. So the house is kind of skewed about the front yard. So we have 25.3 feet at its furthest point from the property line along Gerald Lane, which fronts the house. The existing variance was granted, I believe, in the 70s to construct this residence with a variance because there wouldn't be enough frontage. So I think they granted them 25 feet back then. Unfortunately, because of current zoning, we are R20 zoning, we need 40 feet. So I'm asking for a 4.5 foot addition, and that's bringing the front yard to 18 feet. So the existing house at its overhang, actually, the existing overhang, because this is the second story sort of overhangs the first in the front, is actually 22.5 feet from the property. The lower level is 25.3 at one location and 25 feet at another location.
All right, well, it's a common amenity, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's not, I don't have a problem with it. So, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any other board questions before I open to the public? Before I speak, anyone else from the board?
Odd shaped lot. I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah, constrained, and it's a common amenity in the town of Southampton.
Yeah, it's on the list for- Have you heard from any of the neighbors, your neighbors?
I believe, I'm sorry. I think that the Brunos submitted some letters in support of it from their neighbors, but I'll let them actually answer and see if they've heard any opposition from their neighbors.
Can you guys hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. All of our neighbors wrote letters in support of it. And we have good relationship with them, and we haven't heard anybody relay that they opposed it.
Okay.
Okay, Brian, Marjorie offered us some commentary.
We did. Before we get to that, I'm just going to see if there's anyone here from the public. Is there anybody here from the public with respect to this application? Lost my.
I see no hands. But
No hands, nothing in the chat. 12 Gerald Lane in Hampton Bays. Okay, seeing or hearing no one. Keith, if you could turn to the building department comments, please, and read those.
I'll read it. Although not part of this application, the existing pergola and outdoor shower requires a building permit. in an email addressed to Candace Cowell dated October 29, 2021, applicant stated that said pergola will be removed and the outdoor shower is no longer existing. So, Kate, you gotta make sure that the pergola's gotta go. Is the
Yeah, they're
survey all
both-
right?
yeah.
Is
Both
the
of them are
sur-
down, yeah.
is
They
the
were
sur-
removed. Yeah,
No.
sorry.
Kate, is the survey all right, or do they need to update it?
I think it should be updated to show they're
Gonna
going to
have-
be removed.
Yeah, you're gonna have to remove those from the survey, because
Okay.
otherwise it'll create some difficulty for you in the building department, as Mr. Clinton will tell you, but
Yeah.
I think.
All right. All right, and then I'm good. You have nobody from the public that wants to be heard, you
There's
said?
nobody from the public. Heath, it is yours.
So seeing and hearing no one, I will close the public hearing, leaving it open for written submissions to December 3rd with a determination on 12/16. Make sure we get the survey updated, Kate, you know?
Second,
Great. Mr. Tuttle,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Ms. Haberman,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Have a good evening, and you don't have to come on that date. You can call town hall after the day.
Okay.
after.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank you so
very
much.
Yep.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Moving on. Item 3 on the agenda is Sean Ward and Heather Ward, 20 Robin Drive in Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-52-1-11. Applicant requests a determination that the subject parcel, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-52-1-11, is held in single and separate ownership from all adjacent parcels and thus entitled to relief pursuant to 330-115D and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Okay, is there anybody here for the application?
That
Yes,
would be me, Lori Wiltshire.
Okay. Please raise your right hand. Give your name and address.
Lori Wiltshire, 15 Church Street, Sag Harbor.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Great. Please tell us why you're here.
So the application's brought in order to determine whether or not the subject lot, lot 21 on the subdivision map is single and separate from adjacent lot to the south, lot 20, and if so, would be entitled to C zoning setbacks. The subdivision map of Cardinal Farms was approved by the Town Planning Board and filed with the county clerk's office in 1972. When the map was filed, C residential zoning setbacks were in effect. Both the subject lot at 41,000 and lot 20 next door at 40,000 are well over minimum lot area of 15,000 required by the C zone at that time. This lot and lot 20, known as 36 Robin Drive, were both held in the name of the subdivider, Goodhampton Realty Corp., commencing on 1972 when the subdivision map was filed and continuing through 1976 when the subject lot was deeded out to a Mr. Burnside. Thus, the transfer was made just over 4 years after the filing of the subdivision. Lot 20 was deeded out a year and a half after that in 1978 for approximately 5.5 years after the filing of the subdivision. Both lots were vacant at the time of these transfers. Although the two lots are contiguous, in fact, in and of itself, this should not signal a merger. Rather, in hindsight, it appears that the subdivider sold the lots as soon as they could. In this case, unfortunately, the subject lot was deeded out more than 3 years the town allows to automatically grant single and separate relief. It is also important to note, however, that the following facts support this position that a merger was not intended. The two lots were assigned separate tax map numbers by the county. Both lots were assigned separate street addresses after the subdivision map was filed. Both lots were taxed separately, as evidenced by the supporting documentation from the Suffolk County Treasurer's records submitted with the applications, and no improvements or structures straddled lot lines, and there is no evidence they were intentionally meant to be used together. These same circumstances were true in the matter of Dennis Schmidt at 51 Beach Plum Road in Noyak, where the ZBA found that the subject parcel is a separate building lot as a matter of law, and that it maintains a separate identity from the adjoining lot, and as such is entitled to C-zone setbacks. In the subject application, the C-zone setbacks would also help alleviate the hardship caused by the lot having 2 front yards.
So were there any
Well,
mortgages in terms of a mortgage search? Any mortgages on the property?
Did not come up,
Okay.
but the separate tax bills did. We were able to get those from the county.
And there's C of Os for both of the improved lots, correct?
Yes,
Separate tax bills, separate addresses, separate Suffolk County
Yes.
tax map numbers.
yes.
I went down there actually and, saw that there are 2 houses that clearly are not being used in conjunction with each other in my view. Looking at it. Any questions from members of the board? Is there
Nope.
anybody here from the public with respect to 20 Robin Drive in Bridgehampton, Shorn Ward and Heather Ward?
I see no hands.
Okay. Any board questions for Ms. Wilshire?
There are some building department comments.
It
Yes.
appears Marjorie's worried about the basketball court at the end of the driveway.
Oh, I'll address that. It's going to be removed.
You showed that in the survey, Lori?
No, but we did after we saw the memo from the building department, we inquired with our clients and they said it will be going.
Okay,
All
great.
right.
With that, motion to close, keeping the public hearing open until 12:03 with a written determination. 12:16 would be my motion.
Second.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Mrs. Haberman,
Aye.
Mr. Tuthill,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Brian is here.
Yep, Keith, you can go back to 1. And you don't have to read it, just,
Yep, we'll go back to it.
announce it.
Lucasio decided to join us, did he? Okay. One is 81 Roseway LLC, 81 Roseway in Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-134-2-14.8.
My name is Kelly. I'm recused on this application, so I'll come back afterwards.
Kelly recuses himself. And is Mr. Lucasio here?
I am here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you and we can see you now. Great.
Evening, members of the board. Thank you for allowing me to show up late here. So as you read, I'm here on behalf of the applicant 81 Roseway LLC, the property located at 81 Roseway. With your permission, I can share my screen and pull up a survey to help walk through the application.
Please do, Mr. Lucasio.
All right. Okay. You can see my screen, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so as noticed, we are before you for relief with respect to the proposed tennis court, specifically rear yard lot coverage. We are at 22.9%, 22.39%, where 20% is permitted. And I'm also requesting both rear and side yard setback of 20.5 feet where 30 feet and 21.7 feet where 30 is required. As you can see on the survey, the applicant, first off, he did both reduce the size of the court to a 55 by 110 tennis court, as well as angled in the corners to further reduce the size and coverage of the tennis court. Given the location of the house, there's really no way to situate the tennis court to meet the rear yard lot coverage or the rear yard setback. This tennis courts are a common amenity to the area. Did the screen switch to the aerial?
It did.
Okay, so as you can see, the subject property here is highlighted in yellow. We are proposing a tennis court adjacent to a tennis court. This property is adequately screened. The neighborhood is surrounded with tennis courts. It would not have any sort of a negative impact to the neighborhood or be anything that is not appropriate to this area. We are proposing a sunken tennis court. The property does already have adequate screening on both the side and rear yard where we're requesting relief. We had received a letter from the owner of the lot adjoining our rear lot where we're essentially abutting their tennis court. They did not have any specific objections. All they asked is that we maintain the screening along the property line, which we of course have no objection to. And for the same reasons as they have concerns, we would like this property screened as well to screen from any impact from their tennis court. So we of course would condition any relief you are willing to give the adequate screening and maintaining the existing hedgerow along that property line as well as the side yard.
Have you heard from any of the neighbors, Mr. Lucasio?
Only the neighbor to the rear that I just explained. We exchanged letters, and provided we provide screening, they had no objection to the application.
Board members, questions for Mr. Lucasio before we turn it?
I have a couple of questions.
Yes, of course.
Brian, you said that the existing house, but the house is being taken down, correct? I mean, not Brian. Yeah, Brian.
Yeah, sorry, the proposed
Yeah,
house.
the house is in demolition because I was there. I mean, it's
Yep.
completely being taken
No,
down.
it's with respect to the proposed house. So you're correct. I should have corrected my record. We are building a new house, and the location of the new house with respect to the pool and pool house and the configuration of this lot, the kind of odd funnel shape creates us this as to why we situate the tennis court where it is and why we need this requested relief.
Okay, so that you wouldn't consider bringing the house forward more because it's got a big circular driveway, huge. Just asking.
I can look, I need to confirm the front yard setbacks to see if that's an option.
Okay, no.
But
Yeah.
But we did take careful consideration. This is kind of the best we can get, closest to meeting the setback. So there was really no other alternative.
The garage that's in the back, is that being taken down?
Yes. We're proposing a pool and a pool house in that general vicinity.
Right.
The 55 by 110 court is in keeping with what we typically request. The coverage relief is within what we would grant on previous applications. Let's see if there's anyone here from the public. Is there anyone here from the public with respect to 81 Rose Way, Bridgehampton, New York? Please raise your hand or put a question into the chat room.
Go ahead.
Okay. Discussion amongst the board, how members feel about it, or questions for Mr. Lucasio?
Well, he's stated that he's gonna provide screening for the concerned neighbor. And Marjorie's got some comments there. If Susan wants to read them, she can do that.
I would ask Ms. Haberman to please read those, or if you have a copy, Mr. Lucasio?
I did receive a copy. I don't have it in front of me, but the question was to determine and delineate the rear yard to confirm the relief requested. And this survey that I showed you was actually submitted either earlier this week or late last week, which addressed that comment. And it did confirm that the relief requested was in fact the relief we need.
So then the survey of June 20, which survey are you talking about?
The survey should be dated last revised November 2nd, 2021.
Okay, I don't have that.
So Brian,
Yep.
it's still 22.39%. Is that what you're
Correct.
saying
Correct.
to the record? All right.
That is correct.
Provide the
Does
screen,
anybody else
Bob.
have the more recent survey? Because I don't have it.
I can pull this up just if it helps. But
Did anything change, Brian, from the June survey to the November 2nd or 3rd survey?
the only change was the delineation of the rear yard, and we created the shading of the portion in the rear yard, and just to confirm the rear yard lot coverage that we are requesting is accurately calculated. And Margie did receive that and acknowledged in an email that she agreed and accepted the survey.
Brian, what's between the tennis court and the house? What are those like lines? Is that a porch?
This here is a walkway. You're talking about the kind of almost L-shaped lines?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
is that at grade patio?
I'm sorry, Brian, you broke up?
Is that it's a walkway patio at grade?
Correct. Correct.
yeah, I don't have as much of a problem with the lot coverage as I do with the setbacks. I'm not comfortable with those setbacks, almost 33% ask on that. I'd like to see if that tennis court could be moved further away from the property lines.
Thank you, Mr. Daly. Any other board comments? Ms. Haberman, Ms. Burgess, Mr. Tuttle, Mr. Kelly? Oh, Mr. Kelly's recused, sorry.
Well, I was commenting about where the location of the proposed house was going to be, the main dwelling. And as to
Yeah.
whether there was any given that at all, because it's quite a large circular driveway coming in. Which
Right.
would perhaps bring the setbacks into better line.
Your question is if they can pull the house forward.
Just questioning. I don't know what, I don't have the latest survey, so.
And if not, maybe you would be more inclined to give them some front yard relief to move the house forward versus the rear. I'm just trying to clarify for the applicant.
Yeah, and it could be that the side would be affected by the moving the house forward because it is an odd shaped lot. Just wanted to know if it had been considered.
So we have an 80-foot front yard setback in the R60 zoning, and we're at 80.1 and 80.5 feet. So, and with the way it's an arched front yard, it almost, the center is, well, maybe minimal. It's, it encroaches in. It's not a straight line running parallel with the rear yard. It creates some difficulty with shifting it forward.
Yeah, that's clear. Those are challenges when you have a lot like that and you want a really big house and a tennis court.
10 pounds in a 5-pound bag.
Yeah, I'm just not in favor of those 20-foot setbacks on the rear and the side property line. And that's just me, I'm one vote.
So let's break this up. So in terms of coverage, is everybody okay with the coverage as proposed?
I have less
Yeah, I'm
problem
okay
with
with it.
coverage,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep, okay. Mr. LaCasio, perhaps you could speak to your clients and look to see if there's anything to do with respect to the setbacks. And maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but it sounds like there's 5 of us and there's 2 members. You need 4. So
I'd be happy to take these comments back to the applicant and see how we can address them and bring that back to you at next available hearing.
great.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
Ms. Haberman, so there is room on the 12-2 or 12-16 or 1-6. I don't know how much time Mr. LaCasio needs, but it's your case, Ms. Haberman.
Mr. LaCasio, how much time do you need?
I could probably make the next available. What were the dates again, Brian?
12-2, 12-16, or 1-6. 12-2 is the week after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think 12/16, just to appreciate the holiday. I think 12/16 would be a good date.
Okay, so then I move that we adjourn this application until 12/16.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Ms. Haberman,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Tuttle,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Chair votes aye, and Mr. Kelly recuses himself. Thank you, Mr. LaCasio. We'll see you on 12/16.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Mr.
Brian.
Tuttle.
Okay. Moving along, we're on to item 4 on the agenda, which is Pamela J. Tide, 9 Little Cobb Road in Watermill, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-114-2-42. Applicant requests the following relief from Town Code 330-11.2F. Accessory apartment special standards for a proposed accessory apartment to be located in a detached accessory building on a non-conforming lot. 1, to allow an accessory apartment to be located on a lot that is 29,504 square feet, where 32,000 square feet is required, 70% of the required 40,000 square feet. 2, a principal front yard setback of 4.9 feet, where 42 feet is required, 70% of the required 60 feet. And 3, a principal minimum side yard setback of 11.2 feet, where 14 feet is required, 70% of the required 20 feet. In addition, a determination is required as to whether or not the detached accessory building will be a subordinate or incidental building as a result of the proposed second-story addition and a proposed 2-story addition to the existing 1-story detached garage pursuant to Town Code 330-5 definitions because of its size and proportion to the main dwelling and its use and any other relief necessary. Excuse me.
Board has jurisdiction.
Thank you. Is the applicant here?
Yes, for the applicant, David Gilmartin Jr., Farrell Fritz, 50 Station Road, Watermill, New York. I believe that Mark Matthews, our architect, is attending the meeting, so if he could be let in, I would appreciate it. Maybe he will help answer.
Do we see him in the waiting room?
Who's that?
Mark Matthews?
Yep.
If we could let him in, please?
Yeah, he's coming.
Okay, thank you.
That's the legal advertisement indicates. We're looking for the variances necessary to construct an accessory apartment. This accessory apartment is being constructed on a lot that has a pre-existing non-conforming house. So it's the location of the existing house and the size of the lot that necessitates the variances. If I could share my screen.
Please do.
If you permit me, I'd just like to pull up the survey. So I think that really shows the story.
That would be, yep.
All right, can you see the survey?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the existing house, and again, that is pre-existing non-conforming. You can tell from the setbacks at 4.9 feet here, and then the 11.2 in the back. So when the town board enacted the accessory apartment law, that law requires you to get variances necessary for existing structures. So those are the two, what look to be rather large variances, but I'd submit to you that they are not, because it is for a house that has existed prior to zoning. Here is the addition that we are putting onto an existing garage where we'll be able to house the accessory structure. I'd note for the board that it is behind a significant hedgerow and about 70 feet from the property line, and then there's the town right-of-way starts there, but you don't get the road until approximately in there. I'd also note that the access to the lot is here, so that screening of the hedge really screens the structure. And as you drive by, you have, it's a challenge to actually see the existing garage. And I would submit that you would be hard pressed to see what we are going to construct if this board grants the variances. So the character of the neighborhood will not be impacted. I spoke to this neighbor, who is Mrs. Talbot. We went through the application and she had no issues with it and said that I could represent to you tonight that she is in favor. As you can see from the survey, and I think it's pretty clear, that the existing house and then the size of the lot, which is very nearly what we need to be conforming, those are the two issues that have created that, and there's not a lot we can do about the existing house or increasing the size of the lot. So there's no other way for us to achieve the accessory apartment without your granting of the variance. I would also submit to you that the variances, which you need to consider the totality of the circumstances, are not substantial here. The variance from the lot size, which is 32,000 is required, and we have 29,504, that's a 7.78% variance. And I would note that the zoning code defines a minor variance as something less than 25%. And again, this is 7.78%. With respect to the substantiality of the variances with the house, it's existing. And they have existed prior to the enactment of the zoning code. There will be no environmental impact if you were to grant this variance. It's a type 2 variance. It's a type 2 action under SECRA, which indicates that no further environmental review is required. And whether the difficulty is self-created, it is self-created in that we would like to have an accessory apartment, but the closeness of the size of the lot to being conforming in the existing house are two mitigating factors to self-created hardship, which in and of itself does not necessitate a denial. With respect to whether the garage is a secondary structure, I think that that's pretty clear here. We have an existing garage. We'd like to convert that to an accessory apartment and then still retain a 2-bay garage, which will be housed in this part of the structure. So I can represent to you that this is truly an accessory structure. The other point I'd like to make with that is we're in an R40 zoning district and the lot coverage permitted is 20%. We're at less than half of that, which may be, we could expand the size of the house and then that would negate, this question about whether it's subordinate. I think the way that it's situated on the lot shows it to be subordinate, and this is the main structure on the property.
Is there, Mr. Gilmore, in terms of plans, is there a connection between the garage and the new proposed garage? Like, so the accessory apartment?
Yes. Yeah, it'll be one structure.
Okay. Is there a wall delineating the two, or can you walk from one to the other?
In the garage structure itself?
Yes.
I have this is the floor plan.
Perfect.
So you can see there's the garage here, and there's obviously a wall in between. This is going to be the living area for the accessory apartment, and then this will be the second floor. So there will be a garage on the first floor here, and then living space, and then bedrooms upstairs. All which fit under the 1,000 square feet limitation on accessory.
It meets the square footage and the bedroom count for the accessory.
Correct.
And aside from the neighbor that you've spoken to, have you heard from anybody else?
I have not. That neighbor is here, who would be really the only person impacted. And if you look at the survey, her driveway really comes onto our property significantly. So I think she was pretty accommodating. There's a 6-foot fence there that separates it, and there's a good distance there and a significant amount of screening. So she was supportive in the end.
Question, Mr. Gilmartin, in the Mark Matthews Architecture, it stated that the total floor area of the proposed accessory carriage house is what he termed it, was going to be 1,046 square feet. Has that been changed?
Yes, we updated the application that negated the request for the over 1,000 square feet and termed it an accessory apartment. You can see that here. So, and then in this blue call out box, you can see the it says it's less than 1,000 square feet.
Could blow that up a little bit, maybe, just to see. Sorry.
I see that, right.
Perfect.
I can't,
So it's
my eyes aren't
being
there.
called a carriage house on some of these. I'm sorry, Cornelius.
What-
Carriage
I-
house, it's not going to be a carriage house. It's going to be
Not going to be a carriage
accessory
house, it's an accessory apartment. We updated that.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Cornelius.
No problem. Dave, can you just read those numbers for me? My eyes aren't that great. So what's the total square footage of the main dwelling and the total square footage of the new building in its entirety?
The total floor area of the existing dwelling is 3,157 square feet.
Mhm.
And then of the accessory structure, it's 999 square feet.
And that's everything, both floors, all in?
Yes, you see it's main and upper level on both.
Yeah, but that doesn't count the garage.
Right.
Yeah, we
I'm
need
sorry, I
the,
don't understand that question. The proposed accessory apartment total floor areas,
I meant,
main level, upper level.
the whole kit and caboodle,
What- I don't-
garage.
I lost you, Cornelius. I'm sorry you went out.
No, can you hear me now?
Yes.
We need the square footage for the whole building, both floors, to determine whether or not it's a subordinate structure. So we need not just the apartment, but anything that's being left garage as well.
So the garage itself, okay, we'll update this.
Okay, do you know what that figure is roughly?
Can I interject here?
Wait,
Absolutely, Mark,
before you
thank you.
speak, Mr. Matthews, I have to swear you in. So you state your name and address.
Mark Matthews, 220 Shore Road, Southampton, New York.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Kelly. You can ask Mr. Matthews.
So what's the square footage of the entire accessory building, including unfinished, the garage portion and both floors?
Oh, okay. You can see what David was referring to is the total habitable space of 999. You
Okay,
can also see on the same drawing, the garage square footage is 369. Add those
369.
together, it's 1368, which is
Yeah.
subordinate to the 3157 of the main house.
Well, that's what we're being asked to determine, right?
There you go.
Coming up with like 42%. So less than half.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'm okay with that.
Mr. Daly, I missed that.
Yeah, I said I'm okay with that.
Great. I'm okay with that as well. Is there any other board questions before we see if there's anybody here from the public? No? Okay. Is there anybody here from the public with respect to application number 4, 9 Little Cobb Road in Watermill? Application of Pamela J. Keld. Now would be the time to raise your hand in the chat room or put a message. And do we see anybody?
I see no hands.
Okay, no hands. Going back to Mr. Kelly, Building Department comments.
David, have you seen these building department comments?
I have not.
Oh, I wish you did, because I don't want to read them all. All right, you got a pen? I'm going to read them to you. Ready?
I can obtain them if that's easier for you.
Generally, I can give you a rough sketch.
Let's go down because you may have the answers, Mr. Gilmartin, and Mr. Matthews may have some, or you may have addressed them. So let's.
Okay.
Go ahead,
She's looking for calculations added for the to determine whether or not it's a subordinate structure. She wants total square footage, including exterior walls, added to the plans, and I believe she's also looking for pyramid calculations in the second half of her comments for the new structure.
That's, we can supply those, and there are no pyramid violations.
Pyramid, oh,
On the new building, there are on the existing building, of course, but
right.
not the new building. Everything is, that meets all current zoning setbacks and pyramid.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
All right, let me just scan through hers, make sure she's talking about the new building. Said floor plans. Oh, second story. Yeah, it looks like she's just, Katie, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like she's just looking for calculations, the new structure.
Right.
Yeah, and then there's something at the end that talks about existing piers, Piers.
I didn't
Building
understand.
permit. Yeah, a building permit for the existing piers shall be filed. I don't know what the piers are. Are there piers on this property?
There is a stone post at the northern corner of the property that was built, I would guess, when the original house was built in the 30s. So I don't think she's asking for that.
All right, well, you
But
can ask her.
I don't know what else.
I think that's something that Mr. Gilmartin can
Check.
And
figure that out in
Mr.
a written
Gilmartin
form.
needs to get a hold of Marjorie's comments and address them if they need to be addressed.
Yep.
Plan.
Will do.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions from the board? I'm okay with the application.
I don't have an issue with it either.
Ms. Haberman?
No, I think it looks okay, but I think he needs to clarify exactly what the
Of course,
footages are. Yeah.
absolutely. Ms. Burgess?
I feel the same way. We need some more clarification. Otherwise, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
All right. And Mr. Tuttle, we heard from Mr. Daly and Mr. Kelly.
I'll be all right.
I have no issue with it.
Address the issues, that's all.
The case is yours, Mr. Kelly.
Okay, Mr. Gilmartin, how long do you think you're gonna need to get the revised, the pyramid calculation and the other items added to documents?
If I know Mark, you'll have them tomorrow at about noon.
That's about right, David. That's about right.
We'll take the next available meeting.
All right, so we're gonna close the public hearing, leaving open for written submissions until December 3rd, and we'll have a decision ready at our December 16th meeting.
Second,
Okay, Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
aye.
Mr. Tuttle,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Ms. Haberman?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Have a good evening, gentlemen.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Joe.
Okay, item 5 on the agenda is RCF Properties LLC, 454 7 Ponds Town Road, Watermill, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-100-3-2.11. Applicant requests relief from Town Code 330-77D. Placement of accessory building structures and uses. I'm sorry?
That's Bruce.
It's Bruce, what else? And uses in all districts for a proposed rear yard coverage of 52.1%, where a maximum of 20% is permitted for the proposed location of a tennis court and a non-conforming lot and any other relief necessary.
Board has
Good luck.
jurisdiction.
Mr. Anderson, do you swear to please give us your name and address?
Bruce Anderson, Suffolk Environmental Consulting, Main Street, Bridgehampton.
Please, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir, I do.
Great. Tell us why you're here.
Well, applicant owners propose to construct a 55 by 115 tennis court in the rear yard of the property. This is a property that contains 56,030 square feet and is located in the town's CR80 zone. Subject property is known as Lot 11 of the subdivision map of River Circle Farm, which was filed February 3rd, 2016. The River Circle Farm subdivision was processed as a cluster subdivision, providing for a large agricultural reserve area to the east of subject parcel. Because the map was processed as a cluster subdivision, the town planning board established R20 zoning setbacks for the filed map. The proposed tennis court, which is the subject of this application, complies with all dimensional setbacks prescribed in the R20 zoning district. However, the board could not vary the rear yard restrictions of 20%, as those restrictions are ubiquitous across all zoning categories.
Bruce, can you put a survey up for the public to
Yes,
see?
I'm going to say, let's go to the survey, please. Well, if we can kind of move that around a little bit. There we go. Now, if one takes a close look at the survey, you'll see the subject parcel is accessed by this 30-foot common driveway easement. And 8 other parcels, by the way, take access off this 30-foot easement. The board should also take notice that there's a natural buffer area between Seven Ponds, Towns Road, and the 30-foot common driveway. That buffer ranges from 35 to 54 feet. The board should take notice that the natural buffer consists of woodlands, which provide full screening between Seven Ponds Town Road and the developable portion of the lot. Thus, from Seven Ponds Town Road to the east, the lot would consist of the natural wooded buffer, followed by the common driveway easement, followed by the 2-story house, a proposed pool with the proposed tennis court all the way in the rear of the property. The pool, tennis court would be, and house are virtually all invisible from the street. And it's also worthwhile noting that the buffer, the elevation of the road is substantially lower than the elevation of this property. So it slopes up. Now, if we can go to the aerial, it'll give you a sense of place. So here's the lot. You see Seven Ponds Town Road. You see Edge of Woods Road. You see the natural buffer. And you see the agricultural reserve area, which that's actually a typo. It should be 14.9 acres. So I apologize for that. But the width across, directly across, is 500 feet. And then there's a diagonal width of 330 feet to a parcel there, which is developed. And the board should also understand that the lots, the vacant lot to the north and the south, actually one of them is being built on, are owned by the same property owners. So that's the basic layout of this. Now, what we're all asking for is required rear coverage relief pursuant to 330.77D of 52.1%, where 20% is required. Our practical hardship essentially arises out of the establishment of this natural wooded buffer established to protect the property owners on the other side of Seven Ponds Town Road, along with the common driveway easement. If you add those two dimensions up, you wind up with some 75 to 85 feet in width. And due to that unusable portion of the lot, so in other words, if the usable depth of the lot were increased by the same amount, 75 to 85 feet, no portion of the required rear yard would be occupied by the tennis court. We believe the variance can be granted because there would be no impact to the character of the neighborhood. The developable portion of the property is totally screened from Seven Ponds Town Road by the natural woodland buffer that I've just discussed. And the proposed tennis court is totally screened by the 2-story house that will be built between it and the common driveway easement. obviously, the adjacent property owners to the north and south being owned by the same property owners eliminates any potential neighborhood conflict. We submit the benefits cannot be feasibly achieved by some other method other than an area variance because approximately 22% of the property is occupied by this natural buffer and common driveway easement within the western section of the property. Establishment of the buffer and driveway easement create a lot constraint with respect to lot depth. We contend the variance is not substantial because it creates no impact to the agricultural reserve area off the rear lot line. We maintain that the grant of variance will have no adverse effect on the physical and environmental condition of the site or affected areas because tennis courts are typical accessory structures in Watermill. The lot is not overburdened by proposed development. There are no impacts to the environment, to the agricultural reserve area or any developed properties along Seven Pond Town Road. And the adjacent lots to the north and the south are owned by the same entity, thereby avoiding any neighborhood conflict. The tennis court is sized at 55 by 110 feet, 110 feet, which has been the design standard implemented by this board over many years where area variances have been sought. In addition, the applicant would be sinking the court by 3 feet. There would be no exterior lighting proposed, and the applicant agrees never to install exterior lighting for the tennis court. Finally, the tennis court complies and in fact greatly exceeds the R20 zoning setbacks to the adjacent developable parcels to the north and south. The R20 zoning setbacks for accessory structures are 10 feet. Thus, the tennis court being centered on the lot provides for a 32.9-foot setback off the northerly side lot line and off of the southerly side lot line, 3 times the distance required in the R20 zone. We recently put in several similar applications, and they're similar in that the relief involved coverage for tennis courts on lots that back up to the agricultural reserve areas. These decisions weigh in favor of the applicant because the agricultural reserves themselves provide significant setback relief from adjacent parcels or streets on the opposite side of the reserve area, such as the case here. Those were the Seigerman decision D012453, dated November 20th, 2008, Melander decision D017094, dated June 15th, 2017, and Prager decision number D021062, dated June 17th, 2021. Therefore, it is our contention that the benefit of the applicant, if the variance were granted, would outweigh any detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or the community. The benefit to the applicant would be the ability to construct a tennis court, harming no one, and balance that against the fact that it is our contention that there would be absolutely no detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community as a result of the grant of this variance. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Bruce. My first question is, the tennis court's a little big for what we usually see.
Well, he knows what we want.
No, it's 55 by 110.
Oh, you said 55 by 115.
115.
No, oh, I'm sorry, it's 55 by 110.
Put it
I
up.
correct
Let me see-
myself.
Can we see the proposal, please?
Let's go back to the survey.
It says 110.
No, I had a note of 115, so at least someone will verify that for you, Mr.
It's on the survey.
Yeah, it says 110.
Okay, that's not what he said when he started his.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Well, don't confuse everything, will you, Bruce? You know better.
Bruce, what is the distance between the pool and the patio on the house?
About 33 feet.
Where just to follow up on Ms. Haberman's question, where's the rear yard delineation line?
Next to the tennis court. Oh, it's a dash line.
The dash line, okay.
Yeah.
So if we moved, I mean, for me, and I'm just one person, the 52, I don't recall us ever going over 50% on rear yard lot
Right.
coverage. So I think there, and I don't know where the other members think, but I would think if we shifted this a little bit toward the house, which is west of slightly, to get us below that 50, I think would be helpful in just my mind.
I agree. I agree.
Move the proposed pool, move everything.
I mean, you're not talking a lot because of the long wise is that way to get us down that, 2.
In other words, to get under 50.
3%, something along those
Get under
lines.
50%. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of that much rear lot coverage relief.
Myself either.
I think we got a Mr. Kelly.
I'm in favor of Brian's proposal, where if we can shift it somewhat to get it below the 50%, then I would be okay with it.
Ms. Burgess?
I agree with Mr. Daly.
Yeah. So I think we'll open it up to the public, but it sounds like we may need you to.
Can I also say, because I went to the property to look at it, and one of the lots that's developed at the end of that road, it has a wider setback from its rear line than what you're recommending here for 10 feet. So I'm totally with everybody in trying to move it closer to the house and trying to reduce the rear lot coverage.
Okay. Have you heard from any of the neighbors?
Well, we are the neighbors.
Well,
I did hear
any of
from.
the other neighbors
say
that
that.
you mounted.
I did hear from the Fifes who were across the street from on Seven Ponds Town. I went through the application. I believe they're satisfied that the application does not impact them at all.
What kind of court is this gonna be, Bruce? Is it grass? Is it clay? What is it?
I'm assuming hard true. I really don't know, Keith.
Okay. You don't know. You don't know?
Is there anybody here from the
Well,
public?
make sure you stated that. Was there gonna be any environmental problems with this court? And
I
you're
don't
next to
think-
an agricultural easement, aren't you? I'm just asking, Bruce.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I can report back what it is, but I'm not much of a tennis court expert, to be honest with you.
Well, you represent the applicant. You ought to know what kind of surface it's gonna be.
It's my understanding it'll be a hard true. I will confirm that.
Hey, move it. Otherwise, you ain't got my vote, bub. I can tell you that. 50% is way too much.
yes, agreed.
All right, so let me see if there's anybody here from the public. Is there anybody here from the public with respect to the application of 454 Seven Ponds Town Road, which is RCF Properties? Do we see or
No
hear?
hands. I
Okay.
see no hands.
From the will of the board, Bruce, it sounds like we're going to need you to come back. I will turn this over to Ms. Haberman. It's her application, but it sounds like you're going to be coming back, and Ms. Haberman, the application is yours. for dates.
Bruce, when would you like to come back?
December 2nd.
Is that possible, Candace?
It is. Sorry.
Okay.
I had the date, sorry.
All right.
Well,
So
he need-
go ahead, Keith.
Mr. Chairman, they need, he's gonna need to take a look at Marjorie's comments and
Yes.
address anything Marjorie's got to say here.
Correct, but since he's coming back, I think you should do all those at the same time, Mr. Anderson.
That's fine. That's fine. Just do it.
I have the town's worksheet and it just says that any fence along the common driveway easement shall conform to any covenants and restrictions set forth by the applicable subjects or the absence of CRs that shall comply with 330-11. I agree. There's nothing really for me to address beyond that. We're not asking for
In order to confirm
any
the
fence.
compliance, the plans and elevation taken from all cardinal points, north, south, east, and west, and the survey shall be revised in accordance with the chief building inspector's method of determining both the overall height of a building or structure and method of delineating the sky plane.
I think
Pyramid
that's a
height.
different application.
Yeah, I don't see it on Marjorie's
I don't
comments on
see
this
it here.
application.
I think that's the next one, Mr. Tuttle.
Okay, so
Well,
I,
maybe it is. I might be incorrect.
Yeah, no, I had that stuck to this application as well, so I understand why Mr. Keith was saying that.
Adjourning it to December 2nd, is that it?
so I'm going to move that we adjourn this to December 2nd.
Okay.
Second,
Okay, Ms. Haberman,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
I,
Mr. Kelly. Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Tuttle,
Is that December 2nd of 21 or December
Yes.
2nd of 22?
December 2nd,
Aye,
21.
aye.
chair votes aye. We'll see you on the 2nd, Mr. Anderson.
I thank you all for your time.
Mr. Tuttle, number 6.
1 second here, Brian. All right. Number 6 is going to be Michael and Meg Calamita, 7 Westerly Court in Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-268-4-39. Applicant appeals the decision of the building inspector as provided in Town Code 330-165A. Appeals on interpretation of zoning law and map. In that the proposed attached garage is not a subordinate or incidental building because of its size in proportion to the main dwelling and its use and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Okay, great. Is there somebody here for the application?
Yes.
We are.
Are either of you lawyers?
No.
No.
Okay, can you please state your name and address?
Margaret Calamita, 7 Westerly Court, Hampton Bays, New York.
Michael Calamita, 7 Westerly Court, Hampton Bays, New York.
And you both swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Great. Please tell us why you're here.
We're here because we would like to build a garage in our backyard. The current garage is too small to house multiple vehicles. And we were denied by the town because of the size.
Okay. How big is the proposed garage you're looking to build?
The proposed garage is 30 by 24.
Okay.
720 square feet.
Yep. And it's 1 story?
Yes.
Correct.
There's no second story on it?
No.
Okay. And how big is your house? And I'm asking these questions. We reviewed the application, but for the record, and we ask everybody this, so we're not singling you out.
Okay, 1,458 square feet.
I'm doing quick math, but I'm coming in at roughly somewhere around 50%.
Just under.
Just under. Okay. And what are you doing with the existing garage?
I'm sorry?
What are you doing with your existing garage?
The existing garage is just used for storage. We have a fireplace in the living room. When the house was built, the fireplace is part of the house original, and it steps 2 feet into the garage, which makes it too tight. You can physically get a car in there, but then you can't get out of it. It's very difficult, and we would like to live here for the rest of our lives, basically. So as we age, it's going to get even harder to store a car.
And you meet all other setbacks and coverages and regulations, right?
Yes, we do.
And have you spoken to any of your neighbors? Have you heard from any of your neighbors about this when you had to post or do the
Yes, actually,
post or mail the property?
yes. Actually, this past weekend, we had that storm come through, and a lot of the houses on our court had damage. So we were all together in the street talking about the damage, and each one of our neighbors told us that they had received the letters and that they did not have any issues with it.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us before I ask the board if they have questions and for the both of you?
No, I don't think so.
Other board questions with respect to this application? Helen, I know this is yours and you did a site visit. Is there anything you want to inform the board
No,
about?
I made a visit to the location, and I like that. Keith, could you be kind enough to read Marjorie's comments? I know you read so well. I don't know.
Thank you so much, Helen.
Did either of you have a copy of what the inspector said when she was making comments about your property? Did you get a copy of that?
Yes, we have a copy of that right here.
Okay, so what are your answers to Miss Riley's comments?
I think we should
Okay.
read them first.
You want me to read them first? Okay.
Okay.
Comment number 1, in order to confirm compliance, the plan elevations taken from all cardinal points, north, south, east, and west, and the survey shall be revised in accordance with the chief building inspector's method of determining both the overall height of the building or structure and the method of delineating the sky plane pyramid height from each lot line. And 2, although not part of this application, the shed on the northwest side of the property, 8.72 feet from the property line, shall be removed or relocated to a conforming location. The fence located on the westerly side of the property shall be removed or relocated within the perimeter of the property. Any fence over 4 feet in height requires a building permit and shall conform to all the requirements to the Town of Southampton Code 330-109.
Okay. Are you able to address those matters for
Yes.
the application?
We have spoken with our survey company, and they are going to update the survey to include the delineation of the sky plane pyramid and the elevations as requested by the building department.
Okay.
And the height, and the height.
And the height.
Yes.
The shed has been moved and will be noted as such in the new survey.
Great.
And the fence that was on the westerly side has been taken down and shall be noted in the new survey.
Great. Thank you. Helen?
Well, at this point, we'll just have to adjourn it. What date would be acceptable, Mr.
Let's see if there's anybody here from the public first.
Well,
Is there
yes, I think
anybody
Mrs.
here?
Calmina mentioned that the people on her court, it's like a small court, all got together and had no problem with
Yep.
the garage.
Yep.
Is that right, Mrs. Calmina?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
So how long do you think it'll take for your surveyor to come back with the answers to Miss Riley's comments?
Okay, we've spoken with our surveyor and he believes he can have it done by the end of this month. So I would be happy for an adjournment any day in December.
Any day in December? Do we have room?
Before we get there, yep, before we get to that, Helen.
Yeah.
I would like to hear from the board with respect to the 49% ratio of accessory structure to main structure and the structure being subordinate. It's clearly, in my mind, subordinate based on use, since it's a non-habitable detached garage.
Mhm.
You have a modest sized house and we're not looking for you to build a bigger house. 50% or less is something we've done previously on the board and discussed at other times. So I'm okay with that, but I'd like to hear what other members.
Of course.
Helen. So Ms. Haberman,
I'm okay.
Mr. Kelly,
I'm okay.
Mr. Daly,
My question is, the existing garage you have with the house now, is that going to remain unfinished and the storage, or do you have any intention about, because I'm at the same time I'm asking, is that square footage included in the reported size of your main
Oh, it is
structure?
included in that.
It is included.
Included.
Is that appropriate to have the garage included in the, did you catch it, Brian?
We do, Michael, because if, for instance, in the previous application where we were doing an accessory apartment with a garage, we just count the total first and second floors.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Okay. So you answered that second question, but do you intend to finish that garage or keep it as storage?
Certainly not now. No, I plan to live here for the rest of my life, so I may come back in 10, 15 years, but it's not in our plans.
So what are you're going to continue to use it as storage?
Correct.
Would you be willing to commit to that at this point?
Yes.
Would I be able to come back in 10, 15 years or whatever and say I would like to change that?
You could.
I mean, I wouldn't change it without speaking with the board and getting
of course
approval, but yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
I don't even know if one would need to come back. I mean, I kind of feel with the answer to my second question, that first question was just being nosy, but not not relevant to.
You could make it a condition of the variance. You can make it a condition of the variance.
I wouldn't feel the need to do that
I think
at all. Yeah.
You were the one who raised it, so that's why I'm saying.
Yeah, it's included. I think Mike was being
I know.
included, and I think that's fine, but I don't think you need a condition. It's part of the house, it's part of the calculation. We're considering it herein. So you're gonna have to revise your survey. It seems like the board is supportive of your application, but we do need a revised survey before we can take action. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Helen.
I want to make one comment. I'm generally not in favor of, I think I calculated about 48%. And I thought when I saw the property, why they can't use a 2-car garage as opposed to a 3-car garage. And I still have some concern. I mean, if there were any of her neighbors who had a problem with it, I would definitely not be happy about it or in favor of it. So, but if the rest of the board feels that 48% is not oppressive to them, I can acknowledge that. And I'd like to see the height issue and the whatever other issues that Miss Riley has expressed. So, Keith, did you say that the 48% was okay with you? Because I didn't hear what you said.
That's because I haven't said anything yet.
You haven't said anything. Okay.
I have not. I'll be all right with it. I know Easterly and Westerly Court, both small courts right off of Lane Cliff there, whatever.
That's right.
I really don't have that much, just as long as they address, whatever Marjorie's got to say and update the survey and stuff. I'm not going to read Marjorie's comments because I did it on the last application. But anyway, I really don't.
She read them. She read them.
We read them, we went over them, so we're good on that. So
yeah, I hear you.
Can I make one comment?
Please.
Michael, I may call you Michael. When I went to the property, I was looking for this truck, the truck that you had mentioned, the large truck, but I didn't see it. Was that something that you have someplace else now? Or were you using it that day when I came?
No, right now it's actually in the shop getting a brake job.
It's been stored at a shop for the last couple of years because we can't store it.
Is
So we
that
haven't
one of
been able
the
to have it
vehicles
home.
that you would use, and that's why you need the extra space in the garage?
It's a
I
classic.
mean, that's what you
truck.
mentioned in your application, so.
Yes.
I just wanted to hear it on the record that is very important to you.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
want to
all-
lead you to say that, but it's an issue why you require a 3-car garage. It's not just for regular vehicles, but it's because also of this truck that you have.
Right, this truck is kind of, we go down to the beach with it on Friday night. This is our classic truck. This is not used for work or anything. It's really only, it's our entertainment. This is what we do together.
Okay.
Great. So Helen, with that, is there a motion for written submissions?
Well, of course, we have our written submissions, which I hope you can get ready by, let's say,
3rd,
by the 3rd.
December 3rd.
Then you'll be on for the 16th for your case.
I have a quick question now.
Yes.
Because I know you're gonna address, Marge's comments. Is it possible that there will be a small pyramid encroachment? Because the setback is for the garage is like 11.5 feet, I think. And it looks, is it possible that the garage is taller than that? Or do
No.
you think there will be a
It's
pyramid
not-
encroachment?
It's 11 feet, the garage. We moved it to
Okay.
half a foot just to give us a little margin.
Okay, I just wanted to make
We're
sure.
planning on a hip roof, so it should not be an issue.
Right.
Okay, perfect.
Great. Okay, is there a second for Helen's motion?
Second,
Second,
Ms. Burgess? Helen?
Excuse me?
Are you, aye?
Aye, yes, of course.
Very good, no problem. I got you. Ms. Haberman?
aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Tuttle?
Aye.
Mr. Daly?
aye.
Chair votes aye. Have a good evening.
Thank you
so
very much.
Bye now.
Mr. Tuttle?
All right. Under the column of re-advertised applications, number 7, Kenneth Sheaf and Nicole Kuehl Sheaf, 191 Bridgehampton Sag Harbor Turnpike, Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-70-2-36. I guess it's re-advertised. I need to read it, right?
Yes, please.
All right. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code. 1, to allow for the conversion of the 1.5-story building into a single-family dwelling. 330-11, residential districts table of dimension regulations for a principal minimum side yard setback of 14.5 feet, where 20 feet is required. And 2, to allow for the conversion of the dwelling, 1-story building, into an accessory building, 330-11, for an accessory distance from street setback front yard of 17.9 feet, where 50 feet is required, and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Is there somebody here for the application?
That would be me again, Lori Wiltshire.
Okay, please, different application, so state your name and address.
Okay, Lori Wiltshire, Land Planning Services, 15 Church Street, Sag Harbor.
And you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Great, tell us why you're here.
The application is to convert the uses of the 2 main structures on the property. The 1-story building closest to the road was constructed and used as the main residence before zoning. The 1.5-story barn building was originally constructed as a storage structure. The owners proposed to switch the uses to have this latter structure serve as the main residence and the 1-story building be converted to an accessory space, primarily for use as a home office with sitting and living room areas and a bathroom. While the property is not a non-conforming lot in terms of square footage, the 1-story building was built prior to 1957. Due to the location of the 1-story building and the barn structure, 2 setback variances are requested. The 1-story cottage is quite old. The assessor's records place it at construction around 1920. While generally in good condition, part of it sits on a slab and it lacks modern insulation, wall depth, and window thickness. It is proposed that this structure be converted into an accessory structure subordinate to the residence. The kitchen and sleeping facilities will be removed and prohibited. The 1.5-story barn structure received a CO for an accessory storage building in '92. This structure was then the subject of an '07 variance approval to convert the use to an artist studio for personal use with side yard relief of 14.5 feet for a 14.5 foot setback. At that time, it was proposed to attach the accessory structure to the existing residence. In 2019, the prior ZBA decision was revised to use the barn area as the residence. Again, the two structures were proposed to be joined. Obviously, the current proposal does not include joining the two structures. So technically speaking, the variance that's needed on the north side of the property for what's going to be the house has already been granted relief, because the last time we were before you, we were doing a connection between the two buildings so they would all become principal. Now we're at making that same barn building the house, which is already been granted relief, but we have it in here anyway, just to be sure that it's all in writing. So granting the variances would not cause an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood. The adjacent parcel to the north, which would potentially be most affected by the change of use of the barn structure, is 203 Bridgehampton Sag Harbor Turnpike, the former site of the Wild Rose Restaurant and Nightclub. The property class is for a restaurant, and there's a large parking lot right next to the 1.5-story structure. And that property would not be affected at all by the proposed conversion of the 1.5-story building to the main residence. There's also mature vegetation and fencing between the two properties. And the side yard setback variance previously granted and requested again is only 5.5 feet where 20 feet is required. I will note that there was a letter from the neighbors submitted basically not objecting to the variance because we weren't getting closer to their house. They were requesting that perhaps a tree be removed so that the hedge could be extended, but I don't think that's really a matter of the zoning board purview because the fence and hedge are all along there. Well, the hedge goes halfway and the fence goes the whole way. So it's already screened and it is a commercial use. The existing one-story house sits 17.9 feet from the front yard line where 40 feet is required. Converting the house to an accessory structure requires a 50-foot front yard setback. So a 32.1-foot variance will be required. This will be offset again by existing vegetation and fencing such that the building is not visible from the road at all. And that's today. While the front yard variance is somewhat substantial, that should not preclude the granting of the variance. This one-story building closest to the street to be used as a home office, which will be less intensive use than a single-family dwelling. The proposed work is compatible with the surrounding neighborhood and will not have an adverse effect on physical and environmental conditions. The neighborhood is diverse with the restaurant and some other commercial uses sprinkled among the residences. Again, the property is well screened on all sides. And the location of the two existing structures is what requires the owner to seek the relief. And finally, the owners intend to demolish the small shed and trellis in the southeast corner of the property, and all other work performed without a building permit, a couple of trellises, will be legalized once this matter is settled.
Okay, so you're looking in general to swap the uses of the two buildings. You're not looking to
Correct.
expand the building or change the buildings. And the current accessory building, as I looked at it, is larger than the current residence.
Correct. That was relief granted in the past as well.
Correct. I saw that on there. It's in more of a busier area, industrial area, if you will. And what are they proposing? So they're proposing to remove or condition what would be the new accessory structure, no cooking or sleeping in that accessory structure.
Correct. That's right. And the cooking and sleeping will take place in the barn, the 1.5-story building.
And I just, because I don't have it in front of me and I apologize, there are C of Os and CFCs for everything on the property except for what's in the building department report about trellises and other things that need to be corrected.
Yeah, a couple of accessory things.
Okay. But the structures themselves have pre-existing C of Os or CFCs.
They both do.
Are there questions from the board for Ms. Wilshire?
Are you going to need a reverse of the determination you got years ago on this property where the new building, even though it's smaller than the 1.5-story building, will you need a determination that it's subordinate?
that the one we're converting to an accessory structure is subordinate to the larger 1.5-story house?
Right, because it'll be over 20, just eyeballing on the survey, it does look like it's over 25%. Usually the building department makes them come here. I'm not saying that it will be an issue for us. I just don't know if administratively you want to make that request now or not.
I think we should. It just keeps things clear. I don't see a reason why we shouldn't.
You know what the ratio is, the square footage to the versus the smaller?
The 1-story building is 797 square feet. The 1.5-story building is 1326 and 368.
So it's a little over half. Katie, do you think this is something we need to bother with, or do you think it's something that's going to come up when they go to, or if they go to the building department or something?
I think it's worth just memorializing all of that in the decision. I mean, it certainly has probably been included in every other decision, but I don't think it can hurt. I mean, there's a long history of variances with these lots, so
Gotcha.
that we can memorialize it, we might as well.
It's cleaner.
It appears to be less than half.
Right.
It does.
I don't think it's less than half.
Not at those
You do?
figures.
So I'm seeing that the 1-story building is 797, and the 1.5-story building is 1326 plus 368, which is
That's
1694. Yeah.
So
it's like 100 square feet less than half.
50% are a big number, so if it's under 50, that's good.
It's under 50.
But here you have an accessory structure larger than the principal by 100%, so we're becoming more conforming. Yeah,
We're definitely becoming more
the current
conforming.
way is like 110% of the main building.
Oh, totally. But that was with relief.
Helpful for us. Okay, let me see if there's anybody from the public here. Is there anybody here from the public with respect to application number 7, 191 Bridgehampton Sag Harbor Turnpike?
No hands. Oh, one hand. Sorry.
If you can please let that person in.
Yes, sir.
I think in 2 years from now, he's going to be doing it.
Jean.
Hi, Jean. If you could just please state your name and address for me.
You're muted, Gene.
You're muted.
can't hear you.
Still showing as you're being muted, Gene.
Now, while we're waiting for Jean, I just wanted to ask Lori, I know you said, with all the trellises and stuff, is that going to be resolved soon? Because I know that Marge was talking to me about whether or not that was counting towards roof structures and lot coverage and all that.
Yeah, it's not going to be a problem. I was looking at it earlier today because the existing roofed coverage is 9.8% and the proposed roof, so what's allowed is 20% and what's existing now is 10%. So if you include the trellises, we're not going to get over 20%.
Okay.
Well,
That,
Jean back. Jean,
figuring that out will be a condition.
Yep.
Are you back with us, Jean?
Jean, you're muted. Muted.
Can't hear.
I think she knows that by now.
Does she know where the mute button is?
Obviously not.
Yeah. Lower
Touch the-
hand corner.
Oh, that's funny. Mine's on the top.
Oh,
Huh.
mine's on the bottom.
You have to
Okay,
touch the screen to bring it up.
Board question.
Charles, can you unmute her? Unmute her.
No, no.
Can you
No?
send her that
could do
request?
that. I could mute you if I could do that.
I'm sure you could, and you like to.
Is there any other questions for Ms. Wiltshire while we're waiting on Jean? No? Okay.
I haven't got any.
Okay, I'm not getting any response. You gotta unmute.
Maybe
And
we hold up a note.
if you touch the phone, the unmute button should come up. Touch the screen.
Why don't we hold up a note?
Michael, do you
Yeah,
have-
I am, but I think it's backwards.
No, I think they know. They're working on it.
What are we gonna do? We're gonna hold up a sign that says, "Let's go Mets," or what?
I think Michael should get out his timer. Give him 3 minutes. You used up your time.
Let's give them another.
Yeah, we're getting close.
Did
Maybe
we not
we could
hear her
ask
say her
them-
name?
No,
No.
No?
Maybe we could ask them to submit a written submission
right.
Yeah.
to the board in the time that we will have allowed for this.
Right.
Because it's this has
Not
gone on for 5 minutes now, and we need to move forward.
Yep, so we are going to, I'll take this for Adam right now while he's not here this evening. I move that we put this over for the written submissions, Katie, for 12/3.
Written on 12/3?
Written submissions?
Yeah, that's what.
Oh, holding it open. Okay, understood.
I think written submissions, 12/3, decision by 1/6, just to give some time to see what Jean wants to put in or us to review. So we'll have a decision on 1/6.
Okay, great.
Can we send her a chat or a note or something and giving her instructions how to submit that? I don't know.
She can hear you
how
now.
we would-
She can hear you.
Yeah. So Jean, if you would contact the ZBA office and speak to our administrator, they could tell you how to submit your comments so that the board will see them before the determination.
Correct. Yep.
Okay?
All right, great. That's
Will
my
I be
motion.
able to get a
Second.
copy of those and respond? Will I be able to get a copy of those and respond?
Stay in
Yeah.
touch with the building department.
Yeah, check with Candace.
Check with Candace. Okay, great. Thank you.
And that's my motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Tuttle.
Aye.
Mr. Daly?
I
Ms. Hagerman?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye. Thank you.
Item A on the agenda is Sarah Kent. This is under amendment request. 58 Waters Edge Road, North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-62-1-53. On December 17, 2020, by decision number D-020-119, this board granted the applicant variance relief for a proposed two-story addition, a proposed swimming pool, a proposed accessory apartment within the main dwelling, and relief to allow an existing fence to remain in the corner clearance area at a height greater than 2 feet. The applicant is requesting an amendment to said decision to include the following relief from Town Code 330-11, Residential Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations, for a proposed principal front yard setback of 38 feet plus or minus where 60 feet is required, for a proposed entry portico and relief from Town Code 330-83A4 to allow the proposed elevated wood deck that will be higher than 1 foot above ground level to be located within the required front yard.
The board has jurisdiction.
Okay, is there someone here for the application?
That's
Okay,
me.
great. If you could state your name and address, please.
My name is Sarah Kent, 58 Waters Edge Road, Southampton, New York.
You swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you. Tell us why you're here.
I'm actually requesting a modification to an already accepted variance that I put in last year. I was under the assumption that my architect added the front deck, the proposed front deck, and it is in all the plans. It's even on the site plan, but I'm sorry, the front deck and the portico. But he apparently did not label it properly on the site plan when it was submitted for the variance. So when he submitted it for the building permit, when he resubmitted for the building permit, it was labeled properly. And then, but we were not granted permission for the deck and the portico.
It wasn't part of the determination at that time because we hadn't noticed it. So we had seen it on the application, but since it wasn't, I'm just clarifying for the board and the public.
Yep.
Yes, thank you.
It's not a new condition. It's not something we didn't see previously, but since it wasn't something that we had advertised for, we needed you to come back
Yes.
for clarification of the record.
Correct.
So for members that may or may not recall what this application was last year, the requested modification this evening was part of the survey and the application. It just was not advertised at the time that we reviewed the application. And so in my opinion, we'll see if there's anybody here first. It is reasonable. We did discuss it. Well, not specifically because it wasn't called out in the advertisement. It was part of all the materials that had been submitted and processed through the Zoning Board of Appeals. Let me see first if there's anybody here from the public with respect to the application this evening of Sarah Kent at 58 Waters Edge Road.
No hands.
No hands. Okay. So with that, we'll turn it back to the board. I have no issue with this. I do recall seeing it when I pulled my old files. It just hadn't been advertised, which, you know, we apologize for the inconvenience, but to be clear and certain with all our applications, we need you to come back. So
That's fine.
if there are any board questions, now would be the time to ask Ms. Kent, or let me know how the board feels.
Ms. Kent, has anything additional other than what was on that plan been built in the meantime?
Well, we
So
did. So what my architect did was he removed the deck and the portico from the plans and resubmitted the building permits so we could get started. That was suggested by Marjorie in order for us to actually start the building process, because my mom had already moved in and we were adding on for her to live in the accessory apartment. So we are building, but you know, we're not able to continue and build with the deck and the portico. But we've only had our first inspection. What did we just have? Framing, I think. That was it. So
But you haven't
really
you
haven't
haven't
gotten
made
very
any.
far.
You haven't made any additional changes or additions to the plans that you had
Oh, no,
before
no.
us last year. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
I'm fine with this. Yeah.
Thank you.
Ms. Haberman.
I wasn't a part of the board back then, so I'm kind of at a loss for this. I mean, it doesn't sound unreasonable to me at all, but I really feel like I don't have the background.
That's fair.
I don't know if I can share my screen, but I did send in
You may.
plans of it drawn out. It's just a very small deck. It's not that big with a little portico. We had a deck already where the addition is now. So we just kind of added on a little bit more of a platform. Can I share my screen? Do you want me to?
Yeah.
So she can see?
You may.
Great.
let's
Go
see.
ahead. Sure.
All right, let's see if I know what I'm doing.
Open it first and then share.
So I have it open already.
Okay, so now hit the share button.
I hit share screen,
Yeah.
share. It says open system preferences.
Well, when you hit the share button, you have to select what you want to share.
I did. I hit the Acrobat. Hold on.
That's right. While you're loading that up, let me
Is the Acrobat open though? Is the picture
Yep.
open?
It's right here, but they can't see it.
okay, Mr. Kelly, how do you feel of the application?
I don't have any issues with it. I remember the application from last year. I don't have any issues with this port.
I feel the same way. I don't need to see it. Ms. Kelly.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Tuttle.
I have no problem.
Thank you.
Okay, so don't worry about it, Sarah. You know.
With that,
Thank you.
Michael, I
Sorry
will
about that.
Turn it over to you.
It's okay.
Okay,
I
good.
have one quick thing. I just have one quick thing to say. So Sarah, you do have to ask your surveyor though to just add that setback, because I don't
Okay.
think it's on there. I think Marjorie estimated.
So what we were talking about this morning?
Yes.
Okay, sure. And then, so I submit that, and do I resubmit for a building permit with that added on?
We have to make a
You're gonna
decision
give the,
first.
yeah, you're
and
gonna give the board the revised survey with the setback, which is probably gonna be around 38 feet. Then as soon as the board has that, they can put it on for decision, and then you can give that to the building department.
Perfect.
Ask if you can continue building.
Do you, understanding that it's holidays, and do you think you can get that to us by December 3rd? Ms. Kent?
I'm actually in Florida right now on vacation. I just got here today. But I will call the surveyor and see if they can do it
Because
right away.
if you can get it to us by December 3rd, then that gives us enough time to distribute it to the board members to see, and then we can have a decision for you on December 16th.
On the 16th.
If you can't get it to us by the 3rd, then we would have the decision for you on January, whatever that is, January 2nd or.
Yeah, you just go for the 6th, go for the 3rd.
Okay, yeah, I'll call tomorrow. I'll call tomorrow.
Okay, thanks. So that's my motion is to leave this open for written submissions till December 3rd for a December 16th decision. Thank you, Keith.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Tuttle.
Aye.
Ms. Haberman.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Okay, you too. As I see it, my job is done. We're on to decisions now.
Mr. Tuttle.
We have don't we have number
Brian
11?
has it.
One more.
We have 11.
Number 11.
Amended.
86, all right,
Town of
80.
South.
Chill out, I'll get it. 11, 86 Vale Avenue. That's the next move.
Yep.
All right, so I'd already discussed this
I
with the
know
board. This
that.
was 86 Vale. This was
Yes.
the Housing Authority's property. The board had granted variances for it, and it was discovered, same as Ms. Kent's application, that there was a setback that was on the survey for the proposed dwelling that was not advertised. So they have asked to just amend the decision to add that this was, it was advertised twice. We had 2 public hearings on it. Everyone was on notice for it. So Brian has an amended.
Okay. Hi.
Shoot.
Yes,
We're
Papara again. I apologize. I did not know how to start the microphone, and my daughter had to help.
That's okay, Jeannie. They already closed that application, so you need to send an email or a letter to the board, and they'll consider it with that application. They already closed the public hearing.
Okay, what was the deal on it? What was the finality on it?
There is no finality yet. It's open for written submissions still. So anybody can Anybody can write to us at the town of Southampton through December 3rd. We'll then review all information received. And we anticipate having a decision on December 16th.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's great. Thank you so much.
Thank
You
you
got it.
very much. I'm sorry
Have a
about
good
that.
evening.
Okay.
That's okay.
Let's go.
It's all right.
Okay, so
On to 86 Rail Avenue.
okay, so amended decision for the town of Southampton Housing Authority, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-139-2-33.2 by decision number D021109 dated October 7th of 2021. This board found the subject premises located at 86 Vale Avenue, Riverside, New York, to be a single and separate lot, granted a variance for a total lot coverage to construct a new dwelling for the town of Southampton Housing Authority. The application was advertised and noticed twice. However, it did not include the principal rear yard setback for the proposed dwelling. Notwithstanding the setbacks, they appeared on all surveys and were discussed at all hearings. The board finds the additional relief passes the standard set forth in New York Town Law section, and that the previously set forth decision number D01211109. As such, this board grants relief from Town Code 330-115D1 for a principal rear yard setback of 28 feet where 39 feet is permitted, and for the proposed dwelling as shown on the site plan and elevations prepared by Ryan T. Kestner, architect, last dated October 1 of 2021. All other provisions and conditions of the decision D021109 remain in full force and effect.
Second.
Ms. Haberman.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Tuttle.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
I think you said Kelly.
If you say aye.
Mr. Daly, sorry.
You said aye, but you shook your head no.
Yeah. Okay.
How do you do that?
Aye. Aye. We're gonna have a fake. We're gonna get in trouble here for voting more than once.
Chair votes aye. Thank you. All right.
Okay,
continuing to the
thank
matter
you.
of Steve Schumann, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-9-3-37. The application is for property located at 71 Harbor Drive. Applicant seeks pyramid and setback variances in connection with a new dwelling on a lot burdened by wetlands. The application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code for a proposed two-story dwelling. 1, Town Code 330-84D, pyramid height, for an encroachment in the amount of 3,200 cubic feet. 2, Town Code 330-11, residential district table of dimensional regulations, for a proposed principal rear yard setback of 27.5 feet where 30 feet is required. All for structures as shown on the site plan prepared by Michael F. Hemmer, land surveyor, dated October 19th, 2021, and the plans prepared by D&D Harvey, architect, dated September 30th of 2021. The grant of the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises, including the removal of all structures from the right-of-way to a conforming location on the premises, and the removal or relocation to a conforming location of the bins located on the east side of the dwelling, all prior to the issuance of the certificate of occupancy.
Second.
Mr. Tuttle.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Ms. Haberman.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes. Raymond and Julie Lofsted, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-293-5-7.3. The application is for property located at 177B Springville Road in Hampton Bays. Applicant seeks variances for a proposed swimming pool and to legalize a second-story deck on a detached garage. The application passed the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. 1, for a proposed swimming pool, section 330-11 residential district table of dimensional regulations, for an accessory front yard setback of 21 feet where 50 feet is required. 2, Town Code 330-76D, placement of accessory buildings and structures and uses in all district, and Town Code 330-83C yards to allow the swimming pool to be located within the required front yard for the principal building. And 2, to legalize a second-story deck with detached garage. relief from Town Code Section 33011 for an accessory rear yard setback of 13.9 feet where 20 feet is required. These variances are granted for structures as shown on the survey prepared by Borilski Land Surveying, last updated November 12th of 2021 and received by the board November 18th, 2021. The granting of this relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval.
Second.
Mr. Tuttle.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Haberman.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. The application of Richard Doyle, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-62-1-51. The application is for property located at 62 Waters Edge Road in North Sea. Applicant requests variances to construct a swimming pool in addition to the dwelling, as well as variances to clarify the record. The application is the standard set forth in New York State Town Law and Town Code. Therefore, the board grants relief for the following provisions of the Town Code. Swimming pool. Hold on. Section 33011 residential district table of dimensional regulations for an accessory front yard setback distance from street of 20 feet for the easterly property line, Knoll Road, where 70 feet is required. Town Code 33076D, placement of accessory buildings and structures and uses in all district, and Town Code 33083C yards to allow the swimming pool to be located within the required front yard for a principal building. 2. For a proposed addition to the south side of the dwelling, Town Code 33011 for a principal front yard setback of 50.9 feet from the easterly property line where 60 feet is required. Town Code 33115C for a principal minimum side yard setback of 6.5 feet where 16.7 feet is existing, and the principal total side yard setback of 23.2 feet where 36.5 feet is existing. 3. Town Code 33084D pyramid height for a proposed encroachment in the amount of 648 cubic feet. And 3, for a shed attached to the north side of the dwelling, Town Code Section 33011 for an accessory side yard setback of 13.4 feet where 20 feet is required. And 2, Town Code Section 33076D and 33083C to allow the shed to be located within the minimum and total side yard for the principal building. This board also grants relief from Town Code Section 33011 for lot coverage of 20.2% where 20% is permitted, and to clarify the record for a principal front yard setback of 50.4 feet from the westerly property line where 51 feet is permitted. These variances are granted for structures as shown on the survey prepared by Gary Benz, licensed surveyor, last revised November 3rd, 2021, and the architectural plans and elevations prepared by Lauren Macron, Darcy, RA, last dated November 3rd of 2021. The granting of this relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval.
Second.
Mr. Tuttle.
Aye.
Ms. Haberman.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
This is an awful lot of relief, but seeing as what's in that area and what we have granted relief for in the past, I vote aye.
Thank you. Chair votes aye. Thank you. Stephen and Wendy Cambor, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-211-222. Application is for property located at 21 Autry Lane, Shinnecock Hills. Applicant requests variances for a proposed swimming pool on a through lot. This application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code for a proposed 15 by 27 swimming pool. 1, 33011 residential district table of dimensional regulations for an accessory distance from street setback of 45 feet where 90 feet is required. Town Code Section 33076D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts, and Town Code Section 33083C yards to allow the proposed swimming pool to be located within the required front yard for the principal building as shown on a survey prepared by Jeffrey Hayter of Twin Forks Land Surveying, last revised April 20th of 2021. The grant of this relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval.
Second.
Mr. Tuttle.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Ms. Haberman.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. And those are the decisions I have for this evening.
I have one, or do you want to go first, Cornelius?
No, you go ahead, Susan. Thank you.
I have a decision in the matter of the application of Huckleberry Lane East LLC for premises located at 11 Huckleberry Lane East, Hampton Bays, tax map number 900-231-1-21. This was a application for a proposed swimming pool to get relief from front yard setbacks and placement of accessory structures within the required front yard. The Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the applicant has met the 5-part test of the town code and New York State town law. For the reasons set forth herein, the board grants applicant relief from the following provisions of the town code for a proposed 16 by 32 foot swimming pool. 1, section 330-11 residential districts table of dimensional regulations for an accessory front yard setback of 15 feet where 70 feet is required. And 2, section 330-76D placement of accessory buildings and structures and uses in all districts, and section 330-83C yards to allow the swimming pool to be located within the required front yard as shown on the survey of Scalise Land Surveying dated October 12, 2021, and incorporated herein. The grant of the foregoing relief is subject to the conditions of such other permits as the applicant has heretofore acquired or may otherwise be necessary for final approval of the proposed swimming pool.
Second. Mr. Tuttle.
Aye.
Miss Haberman.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
A decision in the matter of the application of Adam and Leslie Venecor, property North Sea, New York, tax map 977-3, lot 31.001. Applicant to construct a portico, 645 square foot roofed over patio, court. These will not be visible to the neighbors due to landscaping, meets the 5-part test. Therefore, in the interest of justice, and for the reasons set forth herein, this board grants applicant relief from Town Code 330-11 residential districts table of dimensional regulations for proposed principal front yard setback of 72 feet where 80 feet is required, for a front porch and a principal rear yard setback of 24.7 feet where 100 feet is required, for a rear covered patio as shown on the renderings made by Anastasio Saka, dated February 11th, 2021, and survey made by Twin Forks Land Surveying, last dated October 24th, 2021, which show all existing and proposed improvements. The grant of the foregoing relief is further conditioned upon the applicant obtaining all of the necessary permits or approvals by the town of Southampton Building Department.
Second.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Tuttle.
Aye.
Ms. Haberman.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you. And if that is it, is there a motion to close?
Motion to close.
Second.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Ms. Haberman.
Aye.
Mr. Tuttle.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We are closed. Have a
Don't
good-
seem so happy.
Good job, Brian.
Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Thank
Happy
you.
Thanksgiving.
Bye,
Happy
Katie.
Thanksgiving, everybody.
Bye.